Your favorite artists. New music discovery. Candid conversations, unfiltered. Loudmouth, little lady, lots of music history. Broadcasting live from New Jersey, it's the Carr Stereo Podcast with Terrie Carr.
He is a bridge builder between rock and country and metal. Let's see, he's a hockey-playing Canadian Rush geek, plane-flying, awesome musician who has paired with so many different people, whether it's Ivan Moody or Mick Mars or Travis Tritt or Lzzy Hale. And I mean, I know that I'm leaving people out, but I want to welcome the incredible Cory Marks to the Carr Stereo Podcast. It is so great to see you. We are such Rush geeks, you and me together. So we were like all ready for, I know, I'm like, what shirt am I going to wear for Cory? So welcome. It is great to see you. Are you on tour now? I know you're leaving soon, or what's happening?
Well, thank you, Carrie. It's great to see you and talk to you. And it's been too long. So thank you for having me on. When you gave me the name, I thought that was fantastic. I actually leave tomorrow. So this is my last day at home.
Tomorrow.
I hit the road tomorrow. We head to Toronto, and then from Toronto Wednesday morning. We start heading south, across the border into the U.S. and begin our Southside Double Wide tour with Sevendust.
So fun. And Sevendust. You're going out with the dust, baby. Sevendust has arrived. I mean, what an amazing live band. Whether they're full-on amped, whether they're acoustic, it just doesn't get better than being out with those guys. And not only an amazing live band, they're just really good guys.
You know what? I heard their music growing up, and I've very, very familiar with the band Sevendust. And I know when I was touring with Five Finger Death Punch and Brantley Gilbert a couple of years ago, Ivan Moody was talking about Sevendust. It's one of his, if not his favorite band. He loves those guys. And, everyone that in the music industry that's reached out about this tour, everyone says like, oh, you're going to love LeJon and everybody. I said that right?
Yeah, LeJon. Yeah, LJ
okay.
is the best. When you meet him, he's just going to be like, I'm LJ, man. Like, I'm LJ. And LeJon is such a fantastic person. He's just a great human and very unassuming off stage. And then he gets on stage and you're just like, this guy is wild. He's so great.
That's the best.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing I've like literally from co-writers in Nashville to my management to other artists reaching out when they heard about the tour, like, dude, you're gonna love Sevendust. They're like the sweetest guys. They're a great band. You're gonna have a lot of fun on tour. So that was, when you hear that long before the tour starts, it's kind of like, okay, well, this is gonna be great. It was the same thing with Theory of a Dead Man. Those guys very well, and Tyler. They're just they're just great guys, and that's what you want when you're going out on tours. Just not only like chemistry. It doesn't necessarily need to be chemistry amongst the other bands, but just good vibes overall.
You want a good experience. I've been talking to so many artists lately, and this is how I feel now. I just want good people in my life. I just want good people around me, people I have to deal with every day. I just want good people. So when you are on tour with people, you want to be with good people, and you will be. So let's talk about the record. Sorry for Nothing, Volume 2 is out, baby.
Everywhere.
There it is.
I don't know if you can see it because of the light, but I just happen to have.
I can see it. I love the cover. I find you to be such an interesting artist because I feel like you have to, and maybe I'm completely wrong, so please stop me. Do you get the pressure or do you feel the pressure to be one or the other? I think that this collection is a perfect blend of everything that you are. You have a great country sensibility with the songwriting and the storytelling.
Thank you.
You've got a heaviness to the music that I think comes from you and your roots, and also working with Kevin Churko, who's a heavy guy and really knows how to bring that out. When I think of him, I just think of like In This Moment and Five Finger Death, like all these heavy bands. So do you ever feel the pressure? Do you ever get that from management or label or anything to like, no, you've got to be more this way or you've got to be more that way? Because I think you are the perfect blend of, as I like to call it, banging and twanging, with the
Very
heaviness
cool.
and the storytelling.
Well, I thank you for that. I think there needs to be more people like you in the music industry, if that's the way you feel about it, because I've been saying this a lot in my interviews. I think, the word, being an artist, is a three-letter word that really pops out that makes that whole thing, and that's art. And I think it's very important, and I find that's missing a lot, especially in the country community, um, where a lot of it's, I just feel like a lot of it sounds the same. You gotta stick to a lane. You gotta look, act, sound a certain way, and therefore, I find there's no, I find that, in music in general lately, a lot, it's missing some magic, and I'm hoping I'm bringing that magic with the great stuff that I grew up on, from Merle Haggard to, Buck Owens, Waylon Jennings, into, Eric Church, Brad Paisley, Bryan Adams, and then into, the Rush, Deep Purple, Grand Funk, and then get heavier into Pantera, and Lamb of God and Arch Enemy. I like, and Metallica. And so what I've always done, like as a drummer, before any of this started, I just love music, love melody, rhythm, and it's got to have a beat and a feeling. And I think, once I started songwriting, especially you mentioned Kevin Churko, we've talked about this before, but, I remember listening to the Ozzy record, Black Rain, that he wrote and produced. And I thought, this was way back when I first started, writing and such, and, in 2013 or 14, whatever it was. And I remember just thinking, imagine a country record with, like, more of a country vibe in the storytelling and vocals, but like this kind of production musically and melodically. The long, fast forward 10 years and I'm
And
working
did
with
you
him, which
tell
is
him
insane.
that? Like, did you
Oh
tell
yeah.
him? Yeah, you
Yeah. He
told him
knows, he
that.
knows
And
all
that's,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so he has been a great crafter, I think,
Oh,
of your sound.
I mean, he loves, I was Merle Haggard, he's Steve Earle. That was his countryside, right? But we were both Aussie, but also huge Mutt Lange fans, which is, AC/DC, Def Leppard, Shania Twain. So there you have it. I think most importantly, and back to your question of, do I feel pressured? No. I'm writing songs and music for me that I love the way I want to do it, and and how I want to do it. And I think it's great, or hope it's great, and just hope that when people hear it, go, yeah, I like this shit,
Yeah.
So, and that's all. There's never really any pressure for me, because, I don't, I'm, at least I think, in my opinion, I don't want to put anything out there that's half-assed, or like, this isn't me, or like, it's not that good, but let's get it out. I love, I mean, both these records, Sorry for Nothing, Volume 1 and 2. I love all these tracks, and a lot of people ask me, "What's your favorite song to play?" or "What's your favorite song on the record?" They all have their own stories. They come from different places. Whether that's a party anthem, whether that's a heartbreak, or whether that's something like "Tough to Be Strong." Whereas, I wrote with Kevin and Kane Churko up in Mount Charleston back in 2021 during the whole pandemic thing, and we snuck up way up in the hills, 9,000 feet above Las Vegas, and wrote the majority of this record. And that song, at the time, and still am, dealing with a dear friend of mine that, kind of just got lost down the wrong path. And with everything going on these days with mental health and addiction, Tough to Be Strong is literally is kind of like, Cory looking over that friend and knowing that there's a way more people than me dealing with that, and that are worse off. But I think for anyone struggling with that kind of thing, Tough to Be Strong is definitely one. And one of, actually, I talked to Kevin just last week, and he said, he says, that's such a fucking good song. And I'm so proud of that song. He says, that's like our Bryan Adams type song, you and I. And I'm
And
like,
you love Bryan
I
Adams
love,
is your guy, man. You are the Bryan
you
Adams
know,
kid. You grew up with Bryan, and Bryan's a great
yeah.
storyteller.
Oh man. And one thing on that phone call is, these years, it's, I was thinking that, and oddly enough, you know, I was thinking of how long have I known Kevin for? And I think coming into 2026, we've known each other for 10 years now, which is just, it's crazy to think about. Um, but out of all these years I've known Kevin, on our phone call a couple of weeks ago, I had no idea he's like, Bryan Adams is like other people's Beatles to me. I had no idea about that. He's like, my first T-shirt was a Bryan Adams shirt when he was opening up for, I think it was Foreigner or something, way back when, obviously. And then I told him, I said, well, my first CD, the first album I ever bought was 18 Till I Die, which came out in '96. I bought for my mom for Easter when I was like 8 years old or something like that. And then he tells me, he goes, well, have you ever heard of the Spirit album? I'm like, dude, I literally I've been covering Here I Am for like 2 years. It's in some of my shows. He goes, oh, I didn't tell you. I said, tell me what. He goes, me and Mutt Lang did that record. I was like, what? So I thought that was like, okay, here's another Bryan Adams story that just keeps getting crazier and crazier.
It's like 6 degrees of Bryan for you, and always has been. Like, it's just there's
Yeah,
all these like inspirational Bryan Adams boxes and moments. I feel
it's
it too.
crazy.
He's somebody whose name I'm hearing a lot more these days. He
Oh,
just played Madison Square Garden, which is,
yeah,
amazing in his career to still be playing Madison Square Garden. But I'm hearing so many people now have a better appreciation, and I love seeing that
yeah.
as an artist,
Well, I think
progresses.
overall that's what happens when I think no pun intended here, but writing straight from the heart and making music that is timeless, and not just for this is what's gonna stick right now, this is what's hot right now, this is what's cool on TikTok, and let's play this out for the next 2 to 5 years, and then what, right? So with these songs are 40 years old, 45 years old, and they're still like, and he sings better than ever. Like we just saw him in
So good.
Toronto
Yeah.
a month ago. I was supposed to be in Nashville with hopes of meeting him and doing some writing just last week. And my old manager, Louis O'Reilly, sends me a picture in Nashville, and he's with Bryan Adams backstage. And I'm like, you son of a bitch. Because as so many people like, you've met him, right? I'm like, never. I haven't met him yet. I said to meet him is one thing, and I would be forever grateful for that opportunity. But if he was ever, down to write and maybe work together at some point on that front, I mean, that would be, I'd just love to learn from him and be in a room during that process with someone like him, that's been just so
I
great.
still think you guys are going to work together. There's no like I think that you absolutely I thought it last time we chatted and
Yeah.
I think the ducks are going to line up and I think you guys are going to work together. So let's talk about this record. So obviously then you had two records when the
Yeah.
first one came out. And you decided, you know what, these songs are going on volume one. You didn't, it wasn't necessarily volume one, but it was the
Right.
first record.
Yeah.
And sequence that up the way you liked it. And how did you decide that these would be, kind of shelved for possibly a later date and you were going to put them all on record number two?
Yeah. I was not going to let the label hold me hold me to that for too long, because they'd already made me wait 4 years before releasing a record. So, uh, and especially with the pandemic, I went to town on writing. We probably wrote 80 to 100 songs from 2021 to early 2024, and some of these songs I actually wrote myself or started writing back in 2016, 2017, like the more country leaning songs like Late Night of Drinking Again, on the first one, and a few others. But Whiskey River, which is my current country single, I wrote that. Uh, I think I found the voice note just the other day. I think it was in 2019.
Wow.
So the year Outlaws came out, I wrote that song. So I kind of went back in my catalog, and there's a lot of songs where I was like, you know what, that I want to record this. I've had the demo and I loved for so long, just me on, through my iPhone or whatever. And I want to cut this with a producer and whatnot, and get it on record. So these are kind of like the 24, whatever it is, 24, 25 songs that I thought represented me the best, where I am now, what I want to say, what I want to sound like, message in the song, and just the sound sonically overall. And so originally we were actually going to do like a 20 some track record with, but the problem with that I was just scared that like I said, I really love these songs. I didn't want them to, everyone to know the first four and be like, because no one really listens to records these days unless they're good, and so that's kind of, I'm like, you know what, let's do anywhere between 11 to 13 songs, make it the best. I've always been that way, that it's the, what if this record was live, what would be the song structure, right? Because when you go see a live show, you don't want it to be like bam, 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 like oh, bam. It's got to kind of. I like to take them for a ride and little magical spots, and I think I've really done this well with the song placement for both these albums,
Yeah.
where it comes out like a show. It's like bang, and then it's like sing with me. let's slow it down a little bit. Let's sing along together and then bang again, you know? And on the last record, volume 2, we did the title track, Sorry for Nothing, but made it acoustic because when I was over in Europe, I think it was, yeah, we were playing a show and we had an encore, but we'd already played all our songs and I hadn't played this one yet. So my band's like, I'm like, well, should I just go Sorry for Nothing acoustic? Like just me with the, so I actually did, I actually went out and I sang Flying by Bryan Adams. Like when flying, you know, and everyone was kind of like, I was so surprised when I started this, they knew it, you know, you're at a country rock show, but all the phones come up. It's not one of his, you know, it's not like Heaven or something,
Right.
but they
It's
all knew it.
deeper song, deeper track. Yeah.
So I just kind of thought like, we'll see how this, you know, I was feeling it and then loved it. And then I come back and said, should I play Sorry for Nothing? Like, yeah, play Sorry for Nothing. And it was such a cool moment on how, like, you know, it was just like me, the guitar, the song, and them. And to like bang it out, you know, end with a heavy, big song, I think was Outlaws or something. And then end it that way. And then, you know, it was just a moment. So then we just did that for like the rest of the year, like make the greatest show possible. And then I just come out with just and thank the fans, just me, myself, and the fans and the songs. Usually play 2 songs. And so I said, you know what? Let's make this album feel like a live show in the sense of the track listing, but at the very end, let's end it with the album title.
Yeah, I
And
love
it's an
that. I
acoustic
love
version.
that version. I love
Thank
that
you.
version. It's so beautiful and it's so impactful. I love Whiskey River too. Like when I first heard it,
Yeah,
I was
thank
like,
you.
damn, he's the storytelling is just so on point. And I think you're just a great storyteller. But I
Thank
think that
you.
this is a perfect combination of kind of everything that you're about. And you made a great point too, because you talked about being an artist and sequencing the record, having it be who you are, having it tell your story. And also you mentioned, and I'm hearing this from so many artists, it's so hard to stay true to yourself and so important, more important now than ever, because you've got
Yeah,
labels and managers looking for those next TikTok stars, which is mind blowing to me. I had an
yeah,
artist on with me a couple of weeks ago who I think is just so spectacular. And he kind of said to me off the record, they don't know what to do with me because I'm not on TikTok every day
yeah.
getting 20 million TikTok
I
views.
know.
He's like, that's just not who I am. You know, I'm a guitar player, I'm a songwriter, I'm a
Yeah,
storyteller. And he's so friggin' great. And that's, I think, the challenge that great artists have. And I think it's
it's
so
very tough.
cool and important to dig your heels in. And because that's going to prevail, you know, at the end of the
I
day, that's
think
going to prevail.
that's the biggest thing, and you know, I often because of that, I'm glad you brought that up. You know, there's more days that I'm almost discouraged than proud of, you know, some of the work I've done because, you know, that's just it. It's like, well, did you send them the song or whatever? Yeah, but they're asking about your TikTok. It's like, you know, are we allowed to swear on here, by the
Yeah,
way?
absolutely. Yeah.
I'm a fucking artist. I'm a musician. I'm a songwriter. We're in the music business, not the TikTok business, you know? So it's like, you know, and there's so much stupid stuff on there where it's like, you know, and honestly, the people that get their big break, good for them. I'm thrilled for anyone who gets to live out their dream and have the success that they, you know, that you work for, dream for, whether that's TikTok or not. However, I just feel like, and I know that a lot of this might be old school, but I know that there's a lot of, you know, musicians that I looked up to and artists that I looked up to. And I personally, you know, no disrespect to anybody, but it shows when you go see them live. These Some of these cats have never played bars. It's like the first time they ever played like a festival or like a tour. It's like they're in arenas or playing like the biggest stages. So let's say something goes wrong. They don't, it's panic mode because they've never experienced no monitors. They've never experienced, oh, my mic's dead. What do I do? You know, it's like, run over to your bass player's mic and just use it till it's figured out, you know? And some, you know, just general knowledge things are there. And, you know, I mean, hell, there's still times where you still play the brooms that, you know, the 400 cap that have 60 people there. It's just, but that's part of the experience, you know.
Yeah,
It's kind of like
absolutely. That's the experience. You
because
know what though? When you said I don't want it to sound old school. It's really not old school because you're young. You're only
thank
in your
you.
30s. No,
Yeah,
you're in your 30s. So you're young. And so, how can that really be old school? I think these generations
Yeah.
of people that are in their 20s and in their 30s that are in the music business, that are in the rock and roll business, that still give a shit about this,
Yeah.
that doesn't make it old school because you're in that mindset as an artist. So it's as relevant as it is. I just keep thinking that we just keep getting, fed all the BS all the time. And that's
Yeah.
what we come to expect. We come to expect that there's no value to what we do, and
Yeah.
I just went through a similar experience where it was like, yeah, but there's cuts and we got to let people go and da 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 da. And you're sitting
Yeah.
there like, but wait a minute, there's value to what I
Fuck me,
did.
right?
Right. And so you've really gotta just stay strong, I think, in your
Yeah.
belief. And you have, and that's why I respect you so much. I mean, I didn't really set this up with you through your people or through a label or anything. I kind of
Mm.
hit you up and I'm like, dude, you got a record
Yeah.
out. Let's do the
Thank
podcast
you.
because I want you to be
Yeah.
able to tell your story and talk to the fans. I remember the first time putting you on my former employer and my radio station, with Outlaws
Yeah.
and Outsiders, and then of course Make My Country Rock. And as soon as people heard you and then started coming out to see you, whether you were opening for Theory or whatever it was, all of a sudden you had this whole fan base of people. Nobody said like, oh, that guy sounds kind of country. Why is he on? No, the radio people in the tri-state area that listen to radio and music and stuff, they get the storytelling and they
Yeah.
get the authenticity. And that's why you connected. So we got to get you out here. We got to get you like in the New York
Yeah.
area because we got to get you out here because you got fans out here and they need to hear this record. So I'm looking at your
Thank you.
website and then I see like Graceland. Are you going to Graceland?
I'm going to Graceland. Doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo-doo. I'm going to Graceland.
Amazing.
Yeah,
So
that's a
what's
bucket
happening
list.
there? That's so cool. I just got off a book tour with Priscilla Presley. And
Wow.
yeah, she has a great book out called Softly as I Leave You, Life After Elvis. And so I went out and I did a couple of dates with her as the moderator. Amazing person, just super lovely. But Graceland was just such a big part of it and such a big part of everything that is a big part of her life and recreating it. And it's such a magical place. So what's happening there with you?
Well, that's going to be part of the Sevendust tour, the Southside Double
Oh,
Wide tour.
wow.
So for me, I've wanted to go to Graceland since I started going to Nashville, which is back in 2011. I've never been to Graceland. I've never been to Memphis. I've traveled through once or twice, but I've never been to Memphis. So when I saw that, and that was part of like, what do you think of this tour? Do you want to take it? I'm like, well, yeah, it's Sevendust. It's a nice tour, and I'm going through. I'm like, I've never been to New Orleans. I've never been, and then I saw Graceland. And I'm like, okay, well, we gotta plan this day so that wherever we are, I forget if that's a big travel day but I said either way, if we got to leave the night before so we can spend some time and go see. I don't think I just found out my sound checks aren't till like 4 p.m. or 5 p.m. maybe. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to go, spend at least even if it's just an hour, put my feet on the ground there and see Elvis's jet
Soak it
and
in, man. Just
all
soak
that
it
stuff.
in. Yeah.
I even said, if that means me getting in my stage clothes at 11 in the morning, and I literally walked from Graceland just to the stage and put the guitar on and go play, I'll do it.
This is going to be such a good tour for you. I'm so excited because I love that the Sevendust fans are going to get to be exposed to you. And they're such a gracious group of
I was
people, too. So this is awesome. I'm so
I,
excited.
I was a little nervous because when I heard Sevendust, and then I started listening to more of their music, and I hear them a lot on Octane
Yeah.
and all the other serious radio stations. And but I think because I did this with Theory of a Dead Man as well. I'm like, just go out there and do the same thing because I mean, Theory isn't as heavy in a sense, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I thought it's a perfect fit, and Tyler and I have done a song together, and I've been on a Theory song. So I was like, this makes sense. But I was a little nervous. I'm like, well, maybe I don't know. Am I going to be heavy enough? Like with just me and my guitar? Because it's just me and my acoustic guitar. And so I actually ran the set just before this interview, and I'm like, you know what? Just go sing your heart out and be you and have fun. And I think it's gonna work out. And I listened to their live. They did this acoustic tour back in 2001, I think it was. So I listened to that on Apple Music, and I'm like, we'll be okay. I'll be good for good
They are
half hour, you know.
tremendous, tremendous acoustic. And I think this is going to be a great fit. And I know you and LJ are going to collab. Like, I'm feeling
I've
that
heard
there's
that a
going to be
lot.
an LJ Cory Marks collab for sure coming. And you've collabed with so many great people. Um, like you and Lzzy together, I think was such a special moment when you guys collaborated together. So, you just have an awesome magic and chemistry with other artists. I'm
Well,
definitely thinking there's going to be an LJ
I hope
Cory
I
Marks
heard that
collab.
we there's potential that we could end up arrested having too much fun. So,
That's cool
but I
too. That would be
hey
fun. That would be fun. That
hey
would get you a lot of TikTok views. I'm sure. I'm
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So let me ask you this: as a Rush geek, me and you are the geekiest. Um, was it on your dance card that 50 something was going to come? It wasn't on my card. I thought that they would maybe regroup and do something. I had a conversation with
Yeah.
Alex Lifeson. And we were on Instagram together, and you're like, I can't believe you talked to Alex. And I'm like, I can't believe it either. It came up the night before. I was at dinner and somebody said, can you talk to Alex tomorrow at 9 o'clock in the morning? And I'm like, I'm leaving the restaurant.
It's
I
just
gotta go.
dinner's over.
I gotta go. Dinner's over. I had a couple of cocktails. I was like, oh my God, I gotta go home. I gotta sleep. But he seemed to have a passion for playing the songs again. So I felt
Yeah.
something was coming. I did not feel it was going to be a tour of this
Yeah,
magnitude.
it's huge, right?
Massive, and dates just keep getting added, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
whoa, boys, this is going to be a big one. So are you going? I only have tickets for one show so far. It's been a little crazy, but I am going.
Well, Dad's from Toronto. He's seen Rush 31 times. I got to see
Your
him.
pops is the man. Yeah.
They played his high school dance.
Crazy. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Wow.
Um, so he's got quite the history with them, but my brother's never seen them. So it was kind of like we're on the fence where it's like, well, I mean, listen, it's still Rush, but you know, me being a drummer, my dad being a drummer, like we got in because obviously Neil, right? It was,
The goat.
the goat.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of like, well, is it gonna be and Nikita is what's her name?
Annika
Annika. I
Niles. Yeah.
always
Annika
Yes,
Niles.
Annika. So
Because
I apologize.
she's relatively unknown,
Yeah.
like I had heard that she'd played with Jeff Beck, but I have to be honest with you, like other than that, I
Mhm.
really didn't know that much about her, and then
Yeah.
started, doing some deep dives on her and just seeing her and being like, wow,
Yeah, she's incredible.
incredible.
Annika. Yeah, I always mix up Annika and Nikita for some reason, but Annika, yes. I saw this come up and I thought like, but it'd still be great to see Alex and Getty. I mean, the songs are still gonna be the same, I know like some of the hardcore Rush fans might be like, well, you can't do without Neil, but it is what it is. And I think most importantly, he's probably looking down, going, go get it, boys. Get out there and rock and roll the bones.
They got the
Because
blessing, they got the blessing of the
yeah.
family. I would have thought that a year ago. I would have been like, can't do it without Neil. And then
Mhm.
I thought, you know what? Alex is in great health right now. He's doing
Yeah.
great. He's slimmed down. He feels really good after some health issues. Getty's
Yeah.
fine. They want to go out and play their songs again, and
Yeah.
the fans
Do what
want
they
them
do.
to. And
Yeah.
as you said, it kind of is what it is. And when I kind of got into that mode, I'm thinking to myself, I would love to be in the audience again for Getty and Alex. They're going to add a keyboardist, and Annika's there, and I think she's a great choice. Doing something just a little bit different, kicking it up with not a usual prog drummer that they're just bringing in to kind of fill the
Yeah.
shoes.
Yeah.
So, I really was excited. And I did last year, if you asked me, I would have probably been one of those people that said, no, you can't do it. You can't do it. And when the announcement got made and the guys did their Instagram post, there was something about it that just felt really right for me as
Well,
an Epic fan. So
it's real and authentic in a way, and I think they did the right thing. And I mean, bands like Linkin Park did it too, right? So, but back to did we get tickets? We have like the Toronto one sold out so quick. So
I
now we're
know.
like, well, what the hell do we do? So we haven't got tickets yet, and we probably just should have jumped on them. But it's hard because my brother being a hockey coach, like during the winter months, it's and the hockey season, he's all over the place. With me touring and whatnot, it's like, well, if we get tickets and spend this money, am I even going to be there in wherever whenever they're in Toronto?
It's
or
true.
there's
You
still a
don't
lot,
know what's
right?
going to come up. Yeah.
So typically what we do is like, if I can, if there's something big like that, it'll be like, okay, talk to the agent and manager. I can't play these shows, you know. But then if a tour comes in, it's like, well, you have to play the shows, right? It's like you can't just get on a 20-date tour and not do these 2 shows because you're going to see Rush.
This is going to be the last minute
Yeah,
deciding factor. Something will come up for you. I
I hope
know
so.
it.
I'd
I
love
know it.
to see them again
Yeah.
and see
Especially with
see
your dad
the
and
new
your brother, because you and your dad have
that would
such that connection, So
time
I
stands
know.
still.
I
Time
know.
stands still.
I love that. Have you flown recently? Because I know you're the
Yeah,
pilot. You
I
know
flew
me, I hate
yesterday.
flying. I'm scared to death. I would get in a plane with you because I trust
Yeah.
you. But you're flying. You're so well-rounded. Lord have
Uh,
mercy.
well, going back to my dad, he's always told me, and I was going to mention this with Alex and Getty. My dad always told me growing up is do what you love and love what you do. And so I've been grateful enough, lucky enough, and very grateful to have these opportunities, and obviously great supporting family and parents. That in the city I grew up in, around big air shows. It's a hockey community. So I kind of just, it's all fun and love that stuff. And I actually took a family friend up just yesterday, and for a nice, I posted some stuff on my stories. I'm not sure if you saw that, but the sunset flights, those are, I'm not night rated, not night qualified yet, but I'm actually in talks with my instructor to get the night rating when I get back from this tour. So I'll probably do that in January or February
Wow.
when it's typically really cold, but the skies are typically really
Clear.
blue, which means
Yeah.
yeah, night
Yeah.
sky clear, and get that night rating.
Yeah. I
And
think
but yeah,
that's
it's great.
what makes you such a great artist too, because you talked about doing the things that you love. And I think you do things that you love, you feel inspired. From inspiration comes your art, and also a certain amount of bravery, because I think the more inspired we feel, when we're feeling kind of downtrodden and not inspired, we don't feel very
Yeah,
brave, because you kind of feel like,
yeah,
things suck, I suck, nothing's good. But when you
yeah,
feel
yeah.
inspired, you feel a little more on the brave side, and you're able to take chances. And I think that that's what has made you such an authentic and awesome artist. And I will
Thank
tell
you.
you, like, I love this record. I think that it so wraps up the first record. It's a
Yeah,
continuation of great
yeah.
songs. And I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy that you decided to do it like this. Sorry for Nothing Volume 2 is out. Cory Marks is coming, hopefully, to a town near you when he's out with Sevendust and then beyond, because I know that you're going to
Yeah,
continue to tour into the new year. 2026, I think, is going to be a big year for you.
I hope
And
so.
I'm
Thank
always
you.
happy to catch up with you, always happy to talk music, Rush.
Gosh.
And
Well, one of these places I remember one of the first venues you told me about was the Stone Pony. Remember that? And then I ended up playing that with Dorothy earlier this year.
yep.
And I was really surprised because that place was packed wall to wall when I went. Like it was sold out. It was packed. But I was really surprised because I did play some new stuff off the first record, but like the songs like Devil's Grin and Blame It on the Double and Outlaws and Outsiders, they knew that shit.
Yeah.
Like they were
Yeah.
singing, the cameras were out, and I thought to myself, well, maybe, hopefully, they like the show enough that all of them, if not all of them, then most of them would come back if I announce a show there, and maybe some other fans that would, that I've made since then. It'd be so amazing to sell that place out, and it's such a legendary venue and beautiful spot too. I would love to come back to the Stone Pony and just rock that place again.
Stone Pony people, Cory Marks is available. And by the way, I can bring some dogs down to the Stone Pony for you too, because you
That
helped
would
me
be
with
amazing.
adoptable dogs and you took some photos, which is always super
Yeah,
important. And
and I'll
our
do it
doggy
again.
got adopted. And so I thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing that as well. And I can't wait to see your face again. I just can't wait to see you in
Yeah,
person.
let's keep in touch, and I'll keep you updated on the tour and let you know that I'm surviving.
You are surviving. Sorry for Nothing Volume 2 is out. Cory Marks, thank you so much for spending some time with
Thank you,
me.
Carrie. Thank you. It's great to see you.
Don't forget to like this podcast and subscribe to the Carr Stereo page on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Rob Moorhead. TC and I will see you next time.